This conference will now be recorded.
Correct. So yesterday we had a topic called on spiral model, right? Where we said we'll be using this model for a large and a complex projects, right? So how do we work onto that large and complex projects? The entire requirements, right? Entire requirements will be segregated into various sets, they say, right? And each set is called cycle, and every cycle will go through phases or the activities like where we said planning, the risk analysis, the engineering and the execution, and the last one we said is evaluation. These are the four activities of the spiral, right? So how many segregations you do? All the segregations need to be undergoing these all activities over there. So planning, we started talking about requirements gathering. So the requirements gathered, we will evenly do a review within that phase itself to ensure the documentation is perfect. Then move on to the next phase where we design a prototype. So the prototype needs to be evenly tested over there, where we set a dummy model to be tested, where we talk about a look and feel aspects checking over there, right? So if the dummy has been approved by the client, then we will make an actual process implementation, that is development and coding will be done in the engineering and evaluation phase. So testing is being done, deliver the product to the client, where we will do a evaluation at the client side, right? Live environment, client location, all such kind of things to be done evaluation, which we call it as UAT testing, right? So this was something a spiral model working in that process. But when we come down to the agile model, right, as we say, agile model, where we start off with is an upgraded version of spiral with multiple iterations. So in the spiral, there was only one iteration happening at a time. So there was only one cycle going on over there, right? Let me show the images for you. Right. So there's only one cycle happening at a time over there. But when we come down to the agile model, you can see multiple iterations happening at a time here, right? Multiple teams are there, multiple cycles, right? And multiple requirements will be implemented together over here, right? So that is why we mentioned one line as a upgraded version of spiral with multiple iterations, right? So here, when we already have a spiral model, why do we need to approach onto the agile? Why did they have to implement this? The main reason behind the usage of the agile is, first thing, what is mean by agile? What is the synonym of an agile over there? They say we'll work in an agile. So can anybody do any guesses what is the synonym of an agile will be? Is nothing but a togetherness over there, right? A teamwork kind of a process, they call it as, right? I think I mentioned in the notes also for you in one line over there for agile, right? And agile is a teamwork kind of a process, is a teamwork kind of process. And the main team is all about the developers and the test engineers. Separation. I did not get that, sir. You mentioned as separation there. Okay, try to get that. Why did you mention that? I mean, segregation of work into the modules. No, no, no. I am not talking about segregations of the requirements. I am talking about the teamwork over here. So we are talking about the agile meaning over here, agile synonym over there. Inside the agile, what we are going to do that, yes, I will accept that the line what you mentioned it over there, segregation, blah, 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 everything. Yes, we will talk about that later, right? We are trying to get the meaning of this word called agile, right? A teamwork. Now, teamwork, in a sense, they always call developers and test engineers as a one team over here, right? Right, a solution for the development and to the production testing levels over here is all about the teamwork kind of a process which is happening over here, right? So in that case, you can evenly say there was a team as in the spiral also, right? So why do we again start talking about it? Why do we again use into the agile process over here, right? So here agile, right? I'm using this line now, multiple iterations. So multiple iterations. That means there are multiple teams, whereas Spiral, you had only one team at a time. In Spiral, one team for one set of requirements. And only that requirements is happening only one iteration. So you want to work another requirements, there is no team there, right? There is no another iteration also happening. So for that purpose, you gathered your resources more into this agile, more resources, more requirements, then multiple iterations are also happening at a time over here. That is the reason over here which we are working on to agile. Right. The other reason over here is to overcome to overcome this communication problem between the teams and also to reduce the documentation part. For that reason, we are using this sorry agile over here, right? To reduce communication problem between the team, right? Now when I'm here, when I say team, it is not only the developers and test engineers, I will evenly include the rest of the team, right? It says developers, the test engineers, right? The leads, our managers, right? The designers, right? And the maintenance level also, the production team, you can call it as, right? Okay. So over here, there will be a communication problem between these team members, right? So to overcome this communication, again, we are approaching into an agile, and as well as to reduce documentation. Now tell me, without documentation, how do we communicate within the team? Is it going to be an advantage without documentation communicating with you within the team? Will that reduce anything called as a communication problem? If there is a documentation, is it going to be a communication problem? Or if the documentation is not available, is it going to be a communication problem? Where is it? With the documentation or without the documentation?
Without documentation.
So you can communicate within the team without the documentation in a much precise manner. That is what you say.
No, without documentation, we
You
cannot
cannot communicate.
communicate.
Okay, that is what you say, right? But I'll say, not I'll say, Agile is saying that we do not work on the documentation. We are reducing the documentation, right? not the complete documentation, at least a 90% of the documentation is being reduced over here. There will be only one document getting prepared. We'll talk about that document name also over here, right? So they are doing this part. How is that possible now? I have one image downloaded for you, a communication kind of an image for you. Here is it, right? Now, so there's a requirement from the client. He wants a swing to be attached to a branch of a tree, right? When you look at the entire image, this is what the actual requirement is, right? This will be my first image. This will be first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Here it comes 6, 7, 8, 9, and this will be my last image called 10th, right? So when you look at these images, what is it happening? Just have a glimpse onto that. Just have a look of the images over there. What is it saying over here? You see the first image, it says how the customer explained it, right? But what did our project leads understood it, right? So we had a communication. So you did not understand properly, which I explained it to you, my requirements. So whatever you understood, you put it into the document over there, right? Now, whatever you put into the document, based on the documents preparation, our analyst has been designed in such manner in that case, right? The design structure. So he's least bothered whether the swing is going to swing or not, but he's designed it in such manner, right? But whatever the developers have developed it, they prepared a program, a source code preparation has been done. Now least bothered whether the program is going to execute or not, the fourth image, right? So based on the requirements. Now, how did the business consultant describe it? Marketing, right? The fifth one is all about the marketing strategies over there, right? So we are least bothered. I did not ask you for a couch. I just wanted a swing attached to the branch, right? But what are the documentation is being specified, right? You can see documents are being prepared, but nothing being put properly into the document. So we are not able to understand in that manner. Now the operations installed, seventh one. But what about the billing to the customer, right? Customer getting a huge amount of bill, a roller coaster bill over there, right? But there is no support team is being given to the client, right? There is no maintenance team provided to that, right? We are not sending a team, end user team to the client's supporting team. That is what we call it as, right? End of the day, what is actually customer is in need is this. And what all things you people did it in your company? A hell lot of things you did, and you made a lot of complications over there for just a small swing attaching to a branch there, because of lot of documentation, right? You understood in a different manner, so you prepare your own documentation. By the time it comes down to me, I understand in a different manner, so I prepare my own documentation. So you as a business analyst, you prepared a BRS document based on your understanding. So I will review as an analyst. I will prepare my own documentation as per my understanding. Now what is happening? We both prepare different documents now, different requirements. By the end of the day, whether he is going to get a swing, yes or not, we are not even concerned about that also. We are only concerned about the documents, because that will be our task. We start preparing our task work over there, right? So this has a lot of documentation problem when you look at this type of images over there, right? You will evenly get these type of images in your Googles also. Search for them, right? So lot of communication problem happening because of the documentation. Now, without documentation, how do I need to communicate to my team or to the organization, right? Without any documentation, how do I need to explain it? If at all I explain it, how do they communicate within the team by themselves, right? So that is where Agile is following keywords, right? Agile follows some keywords. Keywords like epic, story, either you call it as user story or a story, both are same. And tasks to be performed onto the story over there, right? So these are the keywords they use it, which help you out in understanding the application requirements in an ease manner, right? I will open a one SRS document. In the practical, I'll be showing it to you anyways about that document there. Right, we'll be writing a test case for this particular requirement document, right? So I'll be making it to you understanding about it. Now there's a hell lot of information onto this so-called document, right, which it will take a little time for understanding, right? You're an experienced person, fine, you understood it, it is good, well and good, you'll start writing a test case over there. That is fine, no more talking about it. So we are in an initial stages. Why do we make ourselves as an experienced, right? We'll make it ourselves in an initial stages. How do we understand it, right? So which is difficult. Now, if at all I put up all this into the keywords of our Agile, which makes it easy for us to understand the application requirements. Client has given the requirements. They put up in this requirement document. But for my team, I will use these keywords called epic, story, and tasks. Tasks, right, to be performed by our developers and the test engineers, right? So what are the tasks? Fine, we started with this. We'll evenly talk about these now, right? So developers tasks, test engineers tasks, right, to be performed by developers and test engineers on every user story. That is mandatory to be done, right? So when the requirements are being given, you study these requirements now as a developer's point of view. What is it you will do initially? So what I'll do is I will mention all the developers the tasks. You people try to get the test engineers tasks, right? Try to get them. So I will start talking about studying the requirements, which is in the story over there, review, which I call it as review story. Now, based on the story requirements understanding over there, right? Let me put it for your convenience. Story is nothing but requirement, set of requirement, right? Because this is the line which we use it. This is the word which we use it in the spiral over there, right? I'm evenly comparing with our yesterday's topic spiral over there, right? Because this is an upgradation. Let me do some comparisons, right, along with the spiral, so that we can easily understand in that manner, right? Review story. Now, developer, what is he going to do? He will study the requirement, not the entire requirement, set of requirement, making it clear, right? Now, based on the understanding, he will design it. He will perform some coding, perform some unit testing over there, some integrations testing, right? And so on. What all tasks he is involved, he will be going to be done. Now, when it comes down to us test engineers, then what is it we are supposed to do initially? What do we do now? See and understand. What do we see and understand now?
The requirements first.
That means I need to again start up from the review of a story over there. The same thing what my developer has done, understanding the requirements, the same thing I need to do the requirements understanding. But they prepared a coding. We will prepare a test case document preparation here. If you remember these two lines, Where did we had these two lines? Under your testing phase, we said process of testing. So where did you start your process of testing? So testing phase we discussed about, right? The role we played, the responsibility we said, the process over there we had. So what is the first process you had over there in the testing phase under the SDLC life cycle phases?
Reviewing the document.
Which
Function
document you were supposed to
B,
talk about,
BDD.
right? You started in this manner. Then what did you did,
Then we have prepared the test case document.
right? Then what am I talking about over here?
Preparation.
Same thing.
Same thing.
I'm talking about same thing. The only thing in the agile, when I came down, we are using a terminology different over here. Terminology changed. For your convenience, we are calling it as a rupee. The other countries are calling it as a different manner. So you go to China, they call it as a yen. You go to Americans, they call it as a dollar. Yeah, you go to the Middle East countries, they call it as dinars, dirhams, whatever, I don't remember. You go to the UK base, they call it as pounds. End of the day, all are currencies or not.
Yes.
So agile review story, the basic meaning is BDD review. It is how simple it is. Do not make yourself complicated and get into the tangled over there. Make it easiness over there, right? That is what we are doing. Now, after the preparation, right, test case document, what do we do next one?
Execution.
Right, the same thing you did it over here. Test case document. Sorry. Test case document execution you did. The rest here you'll also do the same thing, right? The bug report preparation, right? And so on, whatever the tasks are related to you, you will be doing it in this manner, right? So these are some tasks which are being done by the developers and as well as some tasks done by our test engineers over there, right? You got the clarity now what is the tasks here?
Yes.
Sure. We'll close this now. We'll go back to our terms called as epic and a story or a user story, however you define it as, right? Let us talk about these words now. Epic, they say, is a large requirement or a high level requirement, they call it as, right? So it is a business needs, right, which is being defined by our customer, right? A high level requirements are defined as a business needs. So these business needs are being provided by customer. This is what I want. So as a customer, what am I talking about? My requirement is to learn so and so subject called as testing tools. That is a complete requirement. So testing tools learning is a complete requirement defined as business needs which are provided by customer. As I was talking about example like learning testing tools is my requirement. That is a bigger epic over there, right? Now when you join, are you learning entire testing tools or what is it you people are learning? Are you people learning entire testing tools currently, or what is it you people are learning? Eh? No, sir. Maybe Mr. Harikiran, are you attending manual and selenium at a time simultaneously? So your epic is to learn testing tools. Then what will be your story? They say story is a part of epic, they say, right? A small requirement, right? A small requirement which is customers need over here, right? This is being defined as the customer's need over here. A small requirement of epic, right? Defined as customer needs over there. So under testing tools, what is your need over there? What will be the part of epic? So your epic is learning testing tools. So under that epic, what is it you people are learning now?
The life cycles, manual.
Right? These are my parts of epic. So when I complete all these, that means I completed my epic called as testing tools, right? So I'll be evenly mentioning it in my CV, testing tools, technical skills under the testing, under technical skills, testing tools, I will be defining it. I have an idea about manual. So I have done my Selenium. I have an evenly a knowledge on Jira. So under manual, again, I will be talking about some more sub stories over there, which you people remember. We had a discussion about main module, submodule, another submodule, or some features during the designing phase, which we had it. Don't you remember all that?
Yeah, yes, high level.
The same thing, I'm just putting it into a keywords called as epic and story, right? So let me put this like this. Story 1, right? Manual testing, this is what it is. So if it all you want to put up another sub story over here, right? Sub story is what, that is tasks, you can call it as. What are the tasks you can perform on under manual? Tasks is you're learning SDLC lifecycle phases, right? The SDLC lifecycle phases over there, right? Under this, again, I will talk about subtasks, right? The phases, types of testings, methods of testings, right? Levels I'll be talking about. All these will be under my subtasks under SDLC, right? SDLC is writing cases, preparing a plan, all such kind of things, right? This is what we had a discussion in the designing phase. The same thing, but I now put up a different example for our subject itself. No, you want me to put up in a different manner? Let me put this now. So epic, first thing is my example is eCart website. I will take an example, right? Let me put this like this first. Example is eCart. So my epic will be, as a user, I need to access eCart website. That will be my epic now. Now, in order to use this epic called as eCart, right? So how do you divide this story into, sorry, how do you divide this epic into stories now? Let us do that now. Story one, right? What is it? As a user, I can. Now, what all things you can do on an eCart website? It's a shopping website. If you can define them in a sequential manner, it will be much grateful there, right? As a user, I can register. That will be my story. Second story, as a user, I can log in. Story 3, as a user, I can browse for the products to buy. Story 4, as a user, I can add the products into cart. This I can say it as another one. Last one I will prepare it and close this, right? As a user, I can do online pay. We'll make it as payment, not online, because payment can be done in different manners, right? Payment for the products browsed. That I'll close it as, right? So an epic for an eCart website. Let me take out this example so that you people do not get confused there. So, right, your epic is to work on an eCart website, right? In order to access the eCart website, what all things you will be doing is all about the stories. Now, what is the developers are talking about now? So registering of that over there, right? User can register into eCart website. So that is what they will do. So for that purpose, they'll start defining the coding, right? They'll start preparing the coding where user can register, right? This is where it comes. Sign up, right? Sign up features, right? The first name, the surname, what else you have it to be filled up, the details that you will be filling up. So this is what they will be preparing a coding for these all features for that registry, right? Then come on to the next one, that is, which we are calling it as a sign in, right? So this is where the user will be talking about, right? Entering in user ID over there, user ID and password talking about. You only have a forgot password there option, right? All such kind of things. So the developers now prepare source code for this particular story over there. So this is how it keeps on going into this process. Now, browsing for the products to buy, either you're browsing for an electronic product, what else we have? Yeah, kitchen appliances, and so on. So they need to add the images, they need to add some text related to that. What is it they get detail in that features of the product when they are buying it, right? How much price it is going to come up with, all such kind of things to be mentioned, right? So it keeps on getting along in that manner here. Is it clear? The epic and the story defining, right? Let me repeat this term again for you. You have any queries, we'll get a clarity, right? So here we said agile model, mainly using it when we are upgrading ourselves from a spiral model with multiple iterations, right? And the meaning of the agile is a teamwork. And the main team is all talking about the developers and test engineers over there. So this is the team which is going to work. Along with this team, there is a rest of the team also available for us, right? But we always call the main team as developers and test engineers, right? So why we using this agile, even though there is a spiral over there, is to reduce communication between the team. When we said between the team, apart from developers and test engineers, the rest of the team also comes over there, right? And also to reduce the documentation, right? Not to the entire documentation. I said only 90%. That means there is something or the other documents getting prepared there, right? So documentation is also being prepared, but most of the point documentations are being reduced. But how do you communicate within the team, right? Without any documentation? Agile is using its own keywords over there, calling it as an epic and a story, right? So epic is a large requirement, a high level requirement, right? A complete requirement for an entire project. But as I told you, right, I keep on repeating it to you. We are not going to work onto an entire project. So even though they have mentioned it, lot of requirements over there, we evenly in the practical, when it comes down in the further, we are not going to write test cases for all these modules. We'll only work on one particular module over there. That is what it says. A large requirement. Yes, you'll be defining in your CV saying that I worked under a so and so project, project title, responsibilities. You'll be mentioning it in the CV there, right? But what is it you have done? What is it you're going to do, right? Under one large requirement, you'll only work on one task here, which you call it as a story. In order to work onto that website, a large requirement, an epic, I said example is an eCart website. To work onto that eCart website, first thing I need to get registered. Now for the registering, start browsing for the requirements. What is that registration says? Customer name, so and so, address need to be filled up, where is from, all that things I need to talk about. Registering, right? The next story says login. So what is the requirement for the login? Go for the requirements document, browse it, what it says for the login operation, right? And so on. So the epic is being divided into small parts, right? Or every part of a story is a epic over there. In simple, combination of products is a project. That is the term which is following over here for you, right? And what is the team, the developers and the test engineers are going to do? They'll be performing every task on every story, right? So developers need to study the requirements related to the registering of an e-card. What is it all required, right? What all text boxes it is having, what all links it is having, right? What inputs it should accept, what inputs it should reject, everything will be into that. So I'll start reviewing that story there, right? There's a document, that initial document, we are going to study it. By just looking at it, we cannot understand what is it going to accept, what is it going to reject. We cannot talk in that manner, right? When they are talking about review story set of requirements, which is related to story one, they said, right? So that means they need to browse a document, they need to study the document opening related to the story one. So you'll start understanding what is the inputs to be accepted, what is the inputs not to be accepted, which is going to be your text box, which is going to be your link, what is the GUI is over there, what are the labels, what are the titles, the colors, everything is in that manner, right? So you start writing the coding in that case, right? At the same time, you you two people will be doing it over there on this particular story. So then yes, there are multiple iterations we said. So there will be another team working on another story, another team, another story. Based on multiple requirements, multiple stories will be defined. That is what this image is talking about. Multiple iterations, multiple teams over there. So iteration to iteration, when it keeps on moving, it is all based on the requirement size. The time will be given over there. I'll be explaining about the time kind of a thing again now. Right? Is this clear now? The keywords of the epic is sorry, of the agile, is it clear? Then let me move on to the agile process. Right? I'll give you some time over there just before talking about my agile process. I'll give you a minute of time to think about. You have anything queries related to these agile model? If no, then we'll straight away start talking about the process. Yes.
So,
Yes, sir.
so in this, will the stories that are prepared by development team and testing team, will those stories be different? Like the development team will prepare uh, one epic, and based on that they will prepare stories, and then testing team.
Correction, sir.
Uh,
Correction, sir. I did not
oh,
say developers will prepare an epic or a story. Neither a test engineers will prepare an epic and a story.
hmm,
I did not say that. All that who's going to do it and all, it will come down in agile process. I
oh,
just defined the model of agile. How is it going to use these
okay,
keywords? But I
okay,
did not say who's going to prepare all this.
okay,
Correction.
okay,
So your query is left, it will be pending. When it comes
okay,
down to the agile process, your query will be solved. Don't worry.
okay, sir. Yeah, okay.
Yes. Anybody else, people? If it is done, then we'll move on to the process of agile.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, sir. Jain, sir. Tell me.
Can you please repeat the test engineer preparation in agile
Test
process?
engineer. Sorry, sir.
Yeah, what is the role in agile process in testing?
What is the role of test engineers in agile process?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Can
you'll
you
be
please
performing
repeat
those
that?
tasks. The tasks are being mentioned over there.
Yeah, okay. Task. Okay, okay, sir.
Okay, sir. No problem. Right. Anybody else? Shall I move on to the process of agile now?
Yes, sir.
Correct. So before starting with the entire process, directly jumping, let us define the team size first, right? Which we call it now in the agile, we call it as Scrum team, right? Now try to get the meaning of what is mean by Scrum, right? Think about that, or otherwise browse what is meaning of the Scrum there, right? Then we'll discuss about. Let me define the team over here. By the time you people search the meaning of the Scrum there. So we start
Group
from
of people.
core Scrum team, right? That is your developers and the test engineers. We call them as core Scrum team. That means the main team they call it as, right? Group of developers and test engineers. You have a Scrum masters. That is your test leads and the product managers, right? You have Scrum executives. That is your designing and the production team over there, right? Scrum executives over there. Yes, that is what we call it as. Are we missing anybody over here, or is it done with the team? So when we are talking about an agile process over here, we'll be evenly comparing it, not comparing it. We'll try to get into the SDLC phases again over here, right? We'll do compare it with our SDLC so that we can understand it in an easy manner, right? That is what I will be doing it for you. Instructors. Who's that instructor? The main person. I'll come down to that, sir. But the agile team, initially they need to start from not only agile, any model, right? Any manner you go, you always start from this person called as business analyst. Until unless he do not start, so the team will not eventually work can be done there, right? So the business analyst, we had named him as business analyst during the SDLC phases. But by the time he comes down to the agile, he'll be called as a product owner for you now, right? So what is the product owner's responsibility in that case then? What is business analyst responsibilities?
Gather
The
the
analyze the
requirements
requirements.
Gathering the requirements, preparing the
and
BDD,
preparing the
interacting with the clients, all such kind of things are happening. The same thing our product owner is also going to do. Fine. Before starting about that, I asked you a question. What is the meaning of Scrum? And
formation
said something.
formation of a group.
Formation of a group, right? When you're Googling it, it will be mentioned in this manner. The word Scrum has been derived from a game called rugby. Google it, you'll get to know. Right. I'll do it for you, there's no problem. So everybody has an idea about a game rugby there.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
If people watch your movies, watch your YouTubes, you'll get to know what is a rugby is. Scrum meaning, right? A part of a game of rugby when several players put in their heads down in a circle. A formation of a group, right? So it has been derived in that manner. So that means in that particular game, a team comes together, right, and works onto the ball. Right. You want to get an images, you can get some images also, right? Rugby game images. Now here is your image. This image which we are talking about, to the right you see a scrum over here, right? So the two teams come into a huddle, put their heads down and working on that particular ball there, right? That is what the game is all about. Dragging, taking the ball, dragging it to the opponent. That is all about the game, which we don't want to discuss about that now, right? So that is how the word has been come, scrum over there, right? Now people can raise a point saying that, sir, even in cricket and the football also there is a scrum team happening. They are also working together. Can we say that even cricket is also and football is also working in together there? Is there a togetherness, a teamwork happening over there? Are the players working, playing at a time? So everybody is familiar with cricket. We'll only talk about cricket. Cricket, are the team 11 players working playing at a time, yes or no? I say no. Is that right? There's only one
Yes.
person batting, there's only one person bowling. The ball goes to only one person, he only feels it. The rest of the team is, what is it they're doing?
Field.
Idle.
Other
They just
activities
wait
of
for their
field.
turn or wait for the ball, right? The rest of the team is idle. But here you see, they are all playing as a team, team, scrum. That is where the word has been derived as. That is the exact meaning over there. So where this entire team is going to work now, work on to what? One set of requirements called as a story over there, right? And where do we start from? Let us start talking about this person here, product owner over here. As we said, product owner responsible to interact with the clients, gather the requirements. In the other word, I can say it as, so this product owner plays a mediator between the client and the company. Can I say that?
Yes, sir.
Product owner responsible for interacting with clients, gathering requirements, and document them. This is what the business analyst we discussed about, right? And also plays a mediator between the client and the organization. So can we say this? Yes, we can do that. So because we are sending a person to the client location, right, to gather all the requirements and put them into a document. So that is the person who's going to do is product owner. And this entire work process is called as product backlog. That is the term which we use it again here, right? Product backlog is defined by product owner, is nothing but preparing the documents after gathering the requirements from the client over there. Now, what is it he is going to gather? What is it he is going to define? What is the customer has been defined? What is it he going to talk about over here? Now, what is the customer defined over here? So customer has given a business to the company there, right? He has provided his requirements, right? We just say that, one second, people. Sorry, where are we? Right. Customer has given his requirements over there, right? Which is related to the business needs. That means customer, he is coming down to the organization with some proposal over there, right? Proposal for the business needs over there. We'll make some business, you and me, something like that, right? It is all in the product owner. Now the business needs have been provided. Now what is the product owner going to do with that now? The business analyst going to do with that? He is going to define what is epic going to be and what is it a story going to be, right? Somebody said developer is going to define that, this and all. I said no, here is the clarity on it. Who's going to define what here, right? Based on requirements gathering, the product owner, let me put this in a shortcut for you. Product owner will define epic and story over here, right? So the features related to that epic and story will be defined into this over here. And along with that, he will be evenly giving some priority also to those epics and stories, right? So the priority is always defined in the what do you call, in association with the customers over there. While he is interacting with the client, will be defining which is to be given a priority, high, low, medium, whatever it is over there, right? In this case, product owner will also define priority, right, in association with client. So these two will be defining which is my high priority requirement and a low priority requirement and so on over there, right? So this is what done by the product owner, right? Once everything is being defined, now what is epic and what is story, right? Let us talk about another one called as user story, right? Which we are talking about story. Epic is one requirement. The epic is being divided into stories. So we'll start talking about defining what is a story now. As I told you, either you call it as a story or otherwise a only story or user story, right? So here user story is a set of requirement over here, right, which has been segregated from the complete requirements, as we said. Where is it? A small requirement of epic which is being defined by defined as customer needs. What is he is initial what is it he really required over there? That is what says customer needs, right? Let me put some lines like this for you. User story, the requirements which are being gathered will be segregated, and every segregated requirement is called as a story, as I told you, right? Requirements gathered must be segregated, and each such segregated set of requirement is called as user story, is nothing but a part of epic, as I told you earlier over there, right? So now the segregation is happened. Now this segregation will be revolving into multiple iterations over there, right? There are multiple iterations. Every story must go under multiple iterations over there, right? So in the segregation which is being done, right, it has to be done in such a way that we can do an end-to-end testing. So what does mean by end-to-end testing? User story must go through iteration process, right, which is a team going to be talking about over there, right? User story must be defined, sorry, not defined, segregated in such a way that end-to-end testing can be performed, right? End-to-end testing can be performed over here. Now what does mean by end-to-end testing is, from starting to the last or ending, whatever the suitable word you can put it as, right? So that is what it is. So segregation must be done in such a way, right, so that an end-to-end testing can be done, where you can do a complete testing right from the beginning till the last over here, right? and user story will be put into a document. One of the document which we are going to work into the agile is a use case document over here. So user story involves in preparation of use case document. So what does this document specifies over here? All required actions and responses which helps test engineers to prepare test case document in easy. That is the document. As I told you, where is it? Right. There's a requirement for us is registering, which we are going to talk about, right? Which we are going to talk about is a registering into an ECAT website. So ECAT website, what does it need to be done? Registration, what all objects does it has? What all links? What are the text boxes? What are the links? If it is a text box, what is it going to accept? Right? All the content is being put into this document, clearly defining what all required actions. What is the action you need to do? So I will be performing an action to access an ECAT web page is entering the URL. So my action will be enter the URL of ECAT website. So based on that action, what will be the response of that page, right? Response. The page, the ECAT web page to start with, right? Whenever it opens, it should show a sign up page, sign in, and so on. All that information to be displayed, which helps you for you test engineers to prepare a test case document. Easy. So at the time of practical, we will evenly look at one use case document also, right? Let us look at one use case document and try to prepare a test case document also based on that. We will evenly do that practical. So this is how the user story is all about segregation. Now, after the segregations are done, which user story needs to be implemented first, right? Which user story implemented to be last, which we are going to talk about, called as sprint analysis and the sprint backlog over here, right? Now, what is the meaning of sprint over here, people? General meaning of sprint.
The project divided into some parts.
That is user story. So you people have an idea about an Bolt, Usain Bolt, the athletes? Idea about who's
Yes.
Usain Bolt is? So
Yeah.
what is his profession then?
The
Run.
sprint had
He sprints, right? Runs fast, right? Sprints for 100 meters in so and so time, right? And what is the time which we have? The maximum time which we have is 1 to 2 weeks. So in interviews, they will be asking you question, what is the duration of sprint? Blindly give an answer as 1 to 2 weeks. They will put you another question related to it. Why is it not more than 1 to 2 weeks? Yes, it will be there. It is all based on the requirements over there. The size of the requirements, the duration will be raised or decreased. But the default time of every sprint will be 1 to 2 weeks. Even when we get into the Jira tool also, when you open the Jira tool, the sprint duration of inside the Jira is starting from 2 weeks. It has from 1 week, 2, 3, 4. It has the customization also, where we can raise the duration from beyond 4 weeks also. But as you open the Jira tool, you will find the default is 2 weeks. So do not hesitate in answering what is the duration of a sprint is 1 to 2 weeks. Blindly give it an answer in that manner, right? So in that duration, what is it we are going to talk about? As we said, Usain Bolt, his specialization is to sprint 100 meters. But whereas our specialization is to accomplish a user story there, right? And my mouse getting spoiled, right? Our task is to complete a user story over there. So our task is to complete user story. User story task need to be completed in that particular duration called as 1 to 2 weeks. So the sprint analysis defines maximum duration of each sprint, that is 1 to 2 weeks, to be accomplishing the task of user story, right? Right. So this I'll be mentioning it under sprint analysis defines the maximum duration over here, right? In that specific duration, what to be completed, that you will be finding it under sprint backlog defines prioritizing the user story over there, right? So that is what it is defining as sprint backlog over there, right? So in order to do some more explanation, my mouse is not working. Right. 1 second, people, just give me a second of time. Right. So as I took an example of yesterday in the spiral, the same kind of process, let me put it over here. Let me take a paint here. As I said, I have requirements of 10, right? And the 10 requirements are being segregated into multiple sets. And each set of requirement is called as a story, right? So here is my story. First story, as I said, there are requirements of only one requirement, one set of requirement in one story. Another story, the second story, which has requirements of 3. And the third story, there are requirements of 5. And the fourth story is having requirements of 1 over there. So the 10 requirements are being segregated in this manner, right? And each set of segregated requirement will go through a cycle which we defined it in yesterday's language, now which we are going to talk about in a story getting into iteration process, a cycle, right? An iteration, it goes on, where you'll do a planning, risk analysis, designing, coding, and testing. This is what it is happening even in the agile process also. Now all these, right, every story, right, needs to be accomplished in 2 weeks. That is what they give as a maximum duration over there. Now, which story needs to be accomplished first is all based on the priority. You people remember, I gave it as like this. So this is being given priority 1. So the team, one iteration, right? Iteration 1 is working on priority 1 for a requirement 1 under a story called fourth story, that is, right? So the story 3 is being given priority 2 over here, right? So for this, we put it as, sorry, here is one iteration 1, and this will be iteration 2. Right? So between these two iterations, the time duration is 2 weeks. Right? There is a time duration between these two iterations is 2 weeks. So when the team is working on the priority 2, the story 3, which has 5 requirements inside that, right? So the team needs to work. Again, in order to work onto those 5 requirements, right? There are requirements 5. The requirements are 5. Now under this, which to be defined to be implemented first and all, it has been talking about sprint backlog now, right? Sprint backlog for the requirement 1, they're given as priority 1. So the iteration 2, the team is working on first requirement, which is being given priority 1 under the user story called 3, which has 5 requirements under that, right? So this is the sprint which is happening now, right? So in between this, the second requirement again, right? Again, in between these two requirements, the time will be of 2 weeks there. So this is how it is moving on to it. That is what the image is talking about. Where is it? This is what the image is talking about over here, right? Iteration 1, requirement 1. Iteration 2, there are 5 requirements inside that. So the team needs to work onto which requirements in first, second, and all. It is all product backlog defining in this manner. So this is what the term is, right? So when the requirements is being accomplished, we need to do a integration process. Let me put that